Hang on.
That's okay.
Kia ora tātou. Welcome, good afternoon everybody, and thank you for joining us on our Facebook Live from Autism New Zealand today. Hope that you can join us and hope that we get to see lots of people. I actually think that's only just started, so kia ora if you missed the beginning, sorry. So my name's Jo and I am coming to you live from my little bubble in Auckland, and it is a beautiful sunny day, so I'm sitting here letting all the sun rays come in and enjoying that. So on the phone I have one of my beautiful colleagues, Moira, and she's joining us.
Hi, how are you? I'm joining you live from Christchurch in my little bubble. I'm not actually in Christchurch, I'm just outside at Cafe, and again we've got a glorious day. So nice and warm, so hopefully people are getting outside as well as staying inside and just having a wee walk.
That's better, I think. I think that's better. Hopefully. Might need my technical assistant, aka husband, to come and help me with how I've got the setup. Anyway, kia ora everybody. So I'm Jo, and on the phone we have Moira. So hi Eileen, great to see people are watching us. So we've had some questions being sent in by different viewers, different people who are from our community page, and so we're going to start addressing a couple of those. If you would like to send in a question, please do so while we're talking, and that would be great as well. We'll try and get through as many as we can. So let's start off. I think, Moira, you have got a question there.
I've got a question here, and it's a fairly common one, I suppose. My son loves washing machines. It's his thing. And in lockdown, he has been even more obsessed with it. I'm trying to get him to do some other things besides focusing on washing machines, but he is not interested. Have you got any ideas?
Yeah, that's a tricky one, isn't it? These special interests that our kids have are just wonderful, and I'm sure some of you sometimes thinking, is it? But what we often say is, yeah, it really is. And if you have got a child with a special interest, hey, look, it's wonderful. The diagnostic criteria used to call them restrictive interests for some reason, but we like to call them focused interests, and I think it was Barry Kazant who quoted it saying enthusiasms. And I'd much rather be talking about them as something like that, because what you can do with these amazingly interesting special interests sometimes is actually learn through that special interest. So, instead of just saying, hey, look, he's constantly on his looking at his washing machines or his vacuum cleaner or whatever it might be, how do we get him off? How do we get him? You've probably tried to set up some other activity and ask him to come and join you, and it's not happening. How about teaching or motivating him through that special interest? So the idea, of course, is not to be talking about washing machines and what they do and how they work, because 9 times out of 10 he'll probably know 100 times more than you. Am I right, Moira?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They can sometimes outdo the experts.
Exactly, yes. And sometimes these things can be careers too. But, so I was just thinking about, maybe you could do some things like, hey, we're going to play the washing machine game today, and could you or family members become washing machines and actually make up a game where you become the washing machine, or where you might print off, if you can, or draw washing machines, little pieces of paper, and hide them around the house or the garden and make a bit of a scavenger hunt. So you're playing the washing machine game. And the other thing you could do is, of course, you can do that with all areas of the curriculum if you're trying to do some online schooling, or just some homeschooling, sorry. You can do some maths of measuring the washing machine and then working out from that, those measurements, how many washing machines will it take to get from here to Hamilton, or, wherever you are located in the country. So there's many different things you could use for learning through those special interests, and it doesn't have to be just the actual thing. What else could we do? What do washing machines look like in France? Let's go and have a look and see what they do, and are they the same, and do they turn the same way? And there's all sorts of things that you could do that washing machine related activities where you're learning something else, and once you're outside, that might be enough of a distraction, playing a washing machine game, that you actually leads on to something else. The other thing, of course, is motivation. So you classic first, and then first we're going to do some baking, and then we can play with the washing machine, or look at the washing machine catalogue, or whatever it might be. So you have a first and then. Or even a reward chart if that motivates your child as well. There's no point in having a reward chart with star charts if the washing machine is the thing. Make the reward chart the washing machine, and add pieces of clothes as the reward. So there's plenty of examples that we can use for learning of special interests and getting motivated through them. I think Stephen Shaw, who is an adult with autism and also a doctor, in psychology, he talks about using those special interests as a place to start and grab that attention, and actually use it to grow through those, and make that the centerpiece from where the student can grow. So hopefully that might shed some ideas on it for you. Have you got anything to add to that, Moira?
Simply that in these times when things are changing, what the children are looking for is something that's the same, something that's constant, something that's safe. So that's their safe default position. So just meeting them where they are, and as you say, then edging out, first we do this, do that, and make sure that it's a little short thing that they do, so they can get back to their comfort zone fairly quickly.
Yeah, great. Absolutely. Start with short bursts and make success of it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And lots of praise for even trying, even just moving their eyes away from the special interest that they have, just catching that moment.
Absolutely.
And then really praising them up for it. And you'll eventually find that they will do it a little bit more and a little bit more. So just take it easy. Be kind to yourself.
Oh, be kind to yourself is going to be a running theme today, I think.
I think so.
So I've just opened up my little question sheet here from our listeners, viewers. And Moira, this one, you might like to answer this one. This one is, my child becomes increasingly agitated when doing online learning. It's a daily struggle. How can we help her to engage in the activities? And I'm sure lots of people have got questions about homeschooling right now.
Yeah, look, homeschooling and doing things online is not for the faint-hearted. Even some of the teachers will be struggling with some of the online learning and the technical side of things, the digital side of things. The most important thing here, and I think that the word that jumps out at me, is becoming agitated. That suggests to me that you're just getting overwhelmed, and it might be just too much.
Yeah.
So we have to just break it down into really, really small chunks and use whatever we can to motivate or capture their attention. So those special interests that you talked about before, perfect. Sometimes it might be a case of even just taking something that the school has sent and putting a Lego picture at the top, or a train, or a washing machine. That can be enough to just grab their attention for a little bit and accept how long the concentration span might be. Cut it short. If the child's getting agitated, let them go back to the safe zone. Then have another little chunk at it later on. Again, stop it before it becomes an anxiety. See if you can just anticipate when that moment's going to be, and then pull it back.
Yeah.
Then you've got your starting point. We talk a lot in the programs that we run about edging someone over a bridge. You have to actually meet them on their side of the bridge and just inch your way slowly.
Yeah.
It's not going to be the end of the world if they do not engage in those activities. Obviously, you're really wanting that to happen, but the most important thing is that the child is not feeling that anxiety. The well-being of you and your child is paramount.
Yeah. And I think you pretty much said it there, Moira, is also have some fun with it. It doesn't have to be dry and boring. And it also doesn't have to be 45 minutes or, gosh, that's a heck of a lot of time. Just take it easy and, like you said, chunk it up into tiny wee bits.
Yeah, and obviously if you can find a way of putting it into a context that the child's really enthusiastic about, then you're going to get them engaging. But you won't get them engaging if it's going to result in anxiety and crosswords and feelings of inadequacy on both parts, because this is your well-being as a parent as well as your child and your whole family. Yeah. So it's really important to do what works for you. Yeah. The rest can wait. The rest can really wait. You just have to get through those. Yeah,
it really can. And it's pretty hard to, have in these sort of circumstances at the moment. It's blimmin' hard, and Moira and I were just talking before we went on this live saying, look, if there's ever any time to just do what works for your whanau, do what works for you, do what works best for your person, just do it, Please be reassured. All the experts are saying so. We've got educators, people, psychologists coming out and saying, hey, listen, you do you, whatever suits your family best.
Yeah. There's very, very few things that you'll do as a family that's not educational, because managing self, communicating, having fun, cooperating with each other, those are important, and that's what the whole curriculum was based on. So if you go back to those essential skills, it doesn't matter whether you're playing snakes and ladders, snap, or staring at a butterfly on a flower. Yeah. You are still actually working on the curriculum.
Yep, couldn't agree more, Moira. Hi to all the people that are joining us. I can see there's more and more coming up. Early childhood teachers and support workers. It's wonderful. Hi, nice to have you along, guys. Do you have another question there, Moira?
I do. This one is probably not just autistic children. I would imagine there's an awful lot of people who are going through this particular thing. I find it hard to get my daughter to stop an activity, especially on her device, and nothing seems to work. We have tried so many things.
Yeah, the old device question, it's tricky. Like you said, Moira.
At the best of times.
Yeah, exactly, the best of times. Gosh, I'm actually having trouble staying away from my laptop and my iPhone at the moment as well. So, yes, it is a tricky one, and I understand. And of course, Moira and I are not here with all the answers to all the questions either. We're just throwing ideas around and suggesting perhaps some good old strategies that have worked in the past when we understand how we all think. Timers are a funny thing. I see a lot of people using timers, and we also see a lot of broken timers. And, I think it's so easy to get caught up in that whole, I'll put the timer on, and when he's finished, he'll just come off it. How stupid are we? Gosh, put yourself into that situation. If you were about to watch, what was something that Game of Thrones. Imagine watching your favourite program, Game of Thrones, and you're about to watch the final episode, and someone came in and said, right, Joe, in half an hour, you need to turn the television off and go to bed, and it's halfway through Game of Thrones. What would you think of that timer? I'm sure that person would probably be wearing it, but we're not going to just do that because a timer rings a bell or goes off or whatever. However, if someone actually put the timer on and said, hey Joe, in 20 minutes you can start Game of Thrones, I'm learning to use that timer in a really positive way, and it's for something that actually is a really good thing, and I'm learning it in a positive way. So, it starts the timer being a measure of time rather than an object of hatred. Because if it's just to get off something like a device, and if it's just to get off something, then of course it's going to backfire. But if you start using it at the beginning and then at the end, it becomes the measure of time. So if you're using timers in a negative way, you'll probably get a negative reaction. Devices are hard because, of course, they're pretty addictive, and it's probably your person's most favourite thing to do. So you really need to show some measure of time, and just verbally often isn't enough, and we'll probably talk about this in some of the other questions, but you need to show your thinking in a visual way. So you may have heard of visual timers, you may have heard of all sorts of other visual ways of supporting time passing so that you can actually see how long you've got. And, you know, even if you've got somebody saying, Mum, when can we do this? Mum, when can we do that? Mum, and you know, what do we turn around and we say to those kids? We say, hang on a minute, just a sec, wait a mo, hold up a tick. We say all these very strange things that don't make a lot of sense. And, of course, humans, we don't make sense. And for somebody with autism, that's really difficult. You know, we want clear and predictable, and we're spouting all this nonsense. Hang on a tick? What is that? Or we might say 5 minutes, and then you've got your student that might be the timer, you know, hey, and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, that's 5 minutes up. Mum, I need your attention. Well, you've always got this, haven't you? So, you know, even making this visual is, hey, I'll be with you in 5 fingers time. You've got control of the time, and you can show time passing. That doesn't mean 1 minute, it doesn't mean 20 seconds, it can mean as long as you want it to mean. As long as they can see that time is passing. So they know that, only 10 fingers to go. However, I would start using that, again, really positively. So you'd want to use that pretty quickly, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, not waiting huge amounts of time in between, or they'll just give up on it. But if you teach it as a measure of time passing, that can also be really helpful. And if you've got kids that don't like the timers that go off or make a loud noise, those things can be great too. And you can use that with anything, really. You know, if you're just sitting if you have got a child that's sitting at a table doing a piece of work and you want to show how long, you know, put a car at one end and say when the car reaches the other end of the table, that's when we'll be finished. And you can move the car along, or they can move the car along every couple of moments, and they can sort of see that time passing. So I would give that a go with the device. Again, use the old first and then. You know, show what you're meaning visually, and try not to make it a negative-based thing to show the time passing, if that makes sense. Did that make sense, Moira?
I think it makes a lot of sense. The other thing to be really aware of is that it's really hard to go cold turkey on anything, whether it's giving up smoking, or it's giving up drinking, or it's giving up your coffee, or your face time, and your time on your devices. So wean the child off, and perhaps yourself at the same time. You really need to just take it in small chunks, and again, really successful, something that they go away and do, whether it's eating or whether it's just having that little bit of time and using your timer to lead into a really good activity, like going back on the device. Also, sometimes what it is that they're actually watching, you can use that again as one of their special interests. Yeah. So if they pick something, a picture or something from there, and that they can download, take away, cut out, that's a little bit of time away from the screen, but then going back to the screen afterwards, or the device, or what activity it is that they particularly enjoy. So just taking little small steps, you know, each time. I keep thinking of the stress that can be involved in feeling that you have to achieve this, and it becomes a battle of wills. Yeah. The more you can reduce that battle and not make it a battle of wills, but just enjoying little bits together, at the end of the day, what is the big problem if they do spend a little bit of time on there? You can stretch those moments out, you know. It's just a case of taking it slowly so that there's no big meltdown at the end of it. Yeah, try not to get into those negotiations either, eh? No. Yeah. Oh, brilliant. Okay, hi Morgan. We've got Morgan, and Laura's just joined us too. Hello. So I'll just read the next question, Moira, and you can help with this one. So I'm just having to hold my phone actually, because I couldn't do it the other way. My arms are getting a bit shaky. Okay, we are struggling to keep up with a routine. What can we do to get back into one? Okay. You will be in some kind, even if it's a random routine, there's still a order that you're doing things in. And for children with autism, they do like same. But obviously there are some things that are not the same as what they used to be. So one of the things that one parent that I was speaking to did, and I thought it was fantastic, they created a little chart, and on one side they put what was going to be the same every day, and what was going to be different on the other side. And so even just sitting down and doing that, that's one session. That's huge. It may even be done in 3 sessions, because, again, to change a routine or a habit, you have to take it in very small steps.
Yeah.
And it's also really good if you can co-construct it, so that the children, as a member of the family, could actually be thinking of something to put on the list, and then decide what order it's going to go into. So you can use a whiteboard, piece of paper, photos, your phone. It depends on the age of the child too, because whatever you use, it's great if it's visual, and it's really good if it's age appropriate. So it might be bullet points, because some people do not want to be treated as a child.
I was just going to say that, Moira, is, when we talk about visual, making things visual, it doesn't have to be, what you sometimes think of as visuals. It's using the natural supports that you've got around you. But also, technology, don't downplay the technology, send an email to that person, they've got a bit of responsibility. If you've got a technical person or somebody that wants to be played to their intelligence. Sorry, I just needed to add to that.
Yeah, and I think that the big thing too is with the schedule, when you are just recording what you do during a day, taking photos or putting it as a bullet point or whatever you decide to do, the language is really important. If you can keep everything positive and remembering that everything that you do during the day, even if it's a rest time with a break, that's really positive. Once you've got that language, you can then move things around to suit you, or each person can choose something that they'd like to put into their day. And it may not always be the same thing. So for one of your children, it might be they want to have some quiet reading time. Others may want to go and listen to music or go for a run or a walk. And it's just a case of co-regulating that. So your routine is basically your day. And some of it will be the same and some of it will be different. And then just talking about it, but talking about it in positive terms. Oh, we're going to have a quiet time. Oh, that was a quiet time. Oh, that was great. That really got rid of the cobwebs going out for that run today. That was a tough hill, Talking about those things, identifying them, and then slowly but surely just introducing some of the things that you want to do at a specific time.
Yeah. And I think getting that concept that you said straight away, that concept of same but different, is actually one of our beautiful colleagues, Bridget, did this with her son, and I, it's such a great way of doing it, is actually saying, okay, what's staying the same, what's changing, and then being able to say, wow, hey, look, these things are still going to be the same, but this is going to be different. The outcome will still be the same. We'll still be able to do this. So it shows that, there is going to be change, and we know how hard that is for a lot of our guys. But if you can show that change, first of all, in a positive way, you want to teach it in a positive way. We know so much changes can be negative. Oh, sorry, we can't go outside for our walk today because it's raining. Is going to be perhaps end in a bit of a disaster. So start with showing change in a positive way, hey, great, you're going to do this is change, and like you say, Moira, making that visual to support the change, this is a change. And keeping it in small chunks, you don't need to look at your whole day. There might just be one part of your day that you want to formalise or lock in a wee bit of structure to. So, a lot of autistic children like structure. They like things to be the way they are or the way they used to be. So as much as possible, we try to actually do that. I know some children, and I know it's been a bit of a laugh too, they get up and put their school uniform on. Oh, really?
They get up and they put their school uniform on. And
Same
my husband during his work time is getting up and getting dressed to go to work. He's going to go to the office.
And that supports it, doesn't it? This is what I do for school.
The weekend he changes and has his normal gardening and cycling and goodness knows what else he's doing. But just to try and keep that he's getting up at the same time. The things that you want to stay the same and which things you would like to have a bit more structure to. And then just look at that one thing. Again, acknowledge to yourself that these are different times, and just allow yourself, be your own best friend, you know, be encouraging to yourself, not, oh, crikey, I haven't even got out of my pyjamas yet. It's pajama day. Who cares?
Oh, you know, you wouldn't know that I've got my pyjamas on with this. I haven't, I've got changed today. But yes, agree. And it's just, it's taking it slowly, because these are massive changes we're expecting from our kids, you know, right now. It's massive expecting it from everybody. And so, it's only reasonable to expect that tiny, small changes at one at a time is your expectation. You know, it's lower, less, but just different. If you're still watching, Eileen, can you give me a thumbs up if this is keeps struggling to reconnect? Or somebody that's watching, give me a thumbs up that you can still hear and see us. That might not be so good. Oh yes, thumbs up, thank you. That's what I needed. Yep, we're all good. Okay, Moira, thanks everyone.
Okay, here's another question for you. My son, Will, is happy in short skirts doing an activity, and then all of a sudden he runs around yelling and screaming with his hands over his ears and yelling at me. I'm so tired, don't know what to do anymore.
Yeah, it can be hard work.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and especially when you've got a house full maybe of other kids as well, and lots of people are trying to entertain, teach, maybe even do your own work, you know, it's quite challenging, isn't it? So
it is incredibly challenging.
Yeah, so I think what you just said too is go easy on yourself, you know, first for starters, and do what you can manage. But I think a lot of the time, you know, we perhaps forget that there's a lot of it's a busy home maybe, and you know, you might need to have some breaks. I think we forget about, because it's all free time, it's all unstructured time, we think about it as being free time, or you know, a bit casual. But for this child,
free time after you play.
But that free time and unstructured time is incredibly challenging. It can be incredibly challenging, and it can also be challenging on the sensory front as well. And so, you know, I know for a lot of kids, having some time out space where you can go, and I don't just mean your bedroom, you know, a little hut or the child. And so, you know, there's people who've done great things, made tents, done all sorts of things. But Sensory Fort, a girlfriend of mine, upturned the mattress and just leant it on a 45-degree angle to the base of the bed, and you know, draped blankets over it, and actually just put cushions in there and a torch, and just made it his very special space to go to. And you know, when things are getting overwhelming, that's his space. No one else can go into that space, you know, and it's a lovely place just to hang out and be devoid of all other sensory kind of input, and let him be, or let her be, for a little while. And I think just knowing that space is available to you is great for you and great for them. So, you know, try doing some of those things. I think, you know, it's only natural that everyone's going to have a moment, you know, during this whole time. I've had a moment. I'm sure most of my whanau in the house, in my bubble, have had a moment. You know, it's pretty, it can be challenging for people on many different fronts. So I think if we can all just make our own little space, it's a really good thing, and even more important for somebody with autism. And, you know, don't engage in those negotiations, don't engage in those conversations, arguments, just let them be. And I know that's easier said than done. If your person's having a bit of a moment and not coping, just be there for them, you know, just be there, let them know you're there, and they might be swearing and cursing at you, but you've just got to actually walk away and let them know that they've got a safe place to be, and they just might need that quiet time by themselves. I wouldn't get too caught up in it, and a diffusing time.
Yeah, I think it's also, it does say that Will is happy in short skirts. I would be grabbing each of those golden moments and capturing it on my phone, you know, taking a photo, and then putting them up or putting them into a bag book about this, you know, you're doing great, with lots of praise and lots of feedback on that, so that it becomes a go-to book that they can go to and you can actually look at when they were happy, you know. There's obviously obviously a certain amount of anxiety that sort of builds while they're doing the activity, and it may be that the activity is either a wee bit unstructured and they get a bit sort of overwhelmed by it, or it may just be that it's just a wee bit long, even though it says short spurts. You know, a nanosecond at times I can settle for that.
Exactly.
Absolutely. So if I had a child who just did not pick up a pen, wouldn't write at all. But when we actually looked at it, they weren't actually all that keen on lifting the pencil because the pencil grip actually hurt. It used to create quite a lot of pain in the hand, so they associated getting the pencil grip with writing. So what we had to do was actually change that a little bit, and then every time they picked up the device or the writing implement, I'd just say, hang on to this for a second, I'm just going to take a photo. And I'd take the photo, and then it would just take me a bit longer each time to take the photo. And that got them started.
It really cements in those good times too, doesn't it, Moira? Those wonderful stories for self-esteem. And, you know, sometimes we just need to strengthen that by showing it visually. Some of you may have heard of social
sometimes
stories.
Words aren't enough.
Exactly.
And they don't last. They're like steam. They just disappear. And so what you need to do is to capture that moment in a more constant way so that they can refer back to you. You can refer back to you and say, look, you did so well yesterday. We're going to try this today.
In fact, you know, you know, coming off that a little bit, but on the same theme is having one of those brag books for this time. You know, maybe an isolation or a quarantine or a lockdown brag book, you know, and it's all of the wonderful things that person has done, because you might be seeing some new and interesting things that this person's never done before. But even if it's just getting out of bed, maybe, you know, even if it's just eating breakfast, that actually might be the success of your day. And you know what? That's great.
There are so many golden moments that you can grab that you may not necessarily immediately think of as being, you know, related to curriculum or school or education or whatever, but everything's an education.
I love the way you came downstairs with a big smile on your face.
Celebrating.
It is, and you know, it's great for sense of self-worth too, because you know it can be a very strange and unsettling time right now, and to be able to read those stories of self-worth, stories of that you know that you're doing well, I think it really strengthens. You know, we know it really strengthens that episodic memory. Rather than just relying on memory recall. Oh, you did. We know you did that. You did it yesterday. You know, well, he might not be able to do that today, but that's okay. But seeing a photo of that may just prompt that, oh, yeah, I did do that.
And if you can grab those moments, I think it will do a lot to lift you as well, because you're doing a great job. You're doing a fantastic job. You're in lockdown and you're surviving, you know, so you've got to pat yourself on the back there, and maybe it'd be good, you know, for you to be able to say, hey, I got up this morning.
And it can be just a photo too. If you've got someone that can't, you know, is not reading yet, or you know doesn't particularly like to read, you know, a photo, just to capture a photo on your iPhone, you know, just on your phone. Sorry, you're advertising for iPhone, and just swipe through. You know, that person can just swipe through those photos, or put it on their tablet, or you know, whatever. Draw a picture together, whatever means you've got. It doesn't have to be words.
And if they can go back to it independently, it frees up a little bit of your time.
So
totally. You're not constantly having to entertain or be with that child all the time, because you need a little break too.
And I think it's not, you know, we keep talking about making things visual. Is, you know, you said it before, Moira, and we say it all the time, you know, words are like steam. Once you have spoken them, they evaporate. They've gone. And you can't bring them back, you can't reference them, you know, and if you're feeling anxious and upset, information just goes. It leaves your brain, you know, for all of us. And so for somebody with autism who has a strong sense of visual processing, the words, the photos, the visual way of showing what you're thinking, of reminders, of whatever it might be, not just for chores, not for anything, just to show what's going on, is invaluable. Absolutely invaluable. And where can that person reference that information? If it's not written down, we've got a little friend who says if it's not written down, it doesn't count. And that's how important it is. So please, instead of using, you know, we talk way too much. try and reduce your language and say what you mean rather than just talking at this person, and support it with visual communication.
Good one.
Okay, what else have we got? We have got, sorry, excuse me, just some technical difficulties here. I'm still holding my phone, so my arms are getting achy now. Just me to have it upside down initially.
You have to do some upper body strength work there.
Oh yes, that's right. That's my steps or whatever for today. Okay, so Moira, we've got I think we've probably covered a few of these ideas, but
I think so. Yeah.
How can we adapt to this change and the change once New Zealand goes into level 3 on Monday and level 2 hopefully in a couple of weeks?
Well, that's like how do you prepare for something you've never done before? No one actually knows what we're preparing these children for, and that's what it comes back to. So effectively, how can we adapt to the change? I think you're already doing that. You've been doing it for 4 weeks now.
Yep.
We're looking at the things that are the same, the things that we can keep the same, and those things that we don't control and we have to make some adaptations to. So that, some of the things we've already talked about, making visible what's invisible, the thinking behind things. I know that Bridget was talking, and her son is really quite distressed about where we're at and when will they get back to school, when will they be able to go to the fish and chip shop again, those sorts of things. And so he's been watching. They recorded the Jacinda Ardern talking about the different levels, and he's got the visuals there, and they talk with him about, okay, what did you used to do, what are we doing now? So a sort of then and now type comparison is just as a visual. Okay, here was me going to school, here's me doing home learning. Here was, I used to have my lunch in the playground, now I have it in the garden. These sorts of things, just making visual what's actually happening, and I think that just calms everything down. The visuals aren't going to disappear, so it gives a lot of time for them to process the information.
That's right.
And they can process it in small, again, not great big chunks, just taking it. If we're going to learn something using YouTube, we can pause it anywhere we like. We can watch it
over and over again
until we know until we think we know what we're doing, and even if we don't, we can rewind it and look at it. So it's giving children the opportunity to look at situations as a cartoon, as a picture, as some form of visual that they can sort of have time to process it. And as long as they're not feeling anxious about something that might happen that they don't know anything about. We know some things.
Here's the things we do know.
Level 3 is going to be pretty much like level 4, so there's not going to be a lot of changes there initially.
And just
as to what level 2 might look like, we don't know.
No.
And so I think most adults are trying to process that too.
I think a big thing also is, we often, it's like, well, gosh, how do we explain to our kids that we don't know what's going to happen? A lot of it, and that happens a lot in life. And it's about telling the child or the person what they can do. So, there's lots we don't know, but we don't want to focus on that. What we do want to focus on, what stays the same, and what they can do. So, whatever else happens, I will still have my favourite blue drink bottle, and Mum will still be able to do this with me, and Dad will still be able to do this with me, or Auntie can still take me for a walk, or, whatever it might be that that will stay the same and that they can do. And that is a great comfort, I think, because even if everything else is changing around you, shifting sands, I've still got this, and I know what I have got, and then making that visual. So like you said, Moira, is however you want to, and yes, I was thinking about recording some of the advice, that you see, and those COVID-19 ads, are often quite good if you want to record those and play them over and over again. And you can also get the charts that show the levels, even though they're a bit vague sometimes. You could write your own little additions into those as well, which might be that we'll still have a picnic on a Friday morning, or we will still be able to have homemade fish and chips on a Friday night. And that's the stuff that, that's the stuff that you can do. And that doesn't change.
Personalise it so that it actually has meaning for the child.
Yeah, and we've got Sophie saying here, join in and enjoy what it is that your child absolutely loves to do.
Oh, lovely.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. And that's a beautiful way to keep engaged, because a lot of our kids will be shutting off or shutting down, especially our teenagers. I may or may not have one right now that's doing that. And trying to find something that you can engage with them in. So, even if it's, you think, oh my God, we've done Lego for the last 3 weeks, maybe move it on from Lego. Join in, have some fun with it. But also you can move it around, even if change is a little bit of change, you might do the Lego outside. That might be enough of a change to start getting used to change. Take what they love, enjoy it, and try those tiny little variations as well.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah. And another really good idea that we came across was someone has made up, I've just got it here, has made a wish list of what are the first 5 things they're going to do when the lockdown's over.
Yes, right. Does McDonald's chicken nuggets feature on there?
I think they clumped it with takeaways.
I wonder how...
Otherwise it would have taken up the first 10, I think.
I wonder if chicken tenders are doing a roaring trade with our kids in this lockdown.
Oh, yes. I know the homemade fish and chips is very popular.
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess that's actually all the questions. We have got a couple of other questions, but they're very similar to some of the ones that we've already answered. But I think really the key message from me anyway is to try and have some fun. Try and keep it fun. If you're not getting any work done or schoolwork done, don't worry. It's easier said than done, I know. But just try and have some fun. Try and engage with the person, doing what they love, finding a special interest and moving through it. Like I said at the beginning, making, if you're into washing machines, play the washing machine game. We had a little boy who was into the Wiggles. And his mum said he won't do anything except play the Wiggles on DVD it was, I think. He will just watch it over and over, and I've set up all these art activities and I've set up all these things, and it's no good, he just won't do it. Until what we did was we set up a Wiggles game for him. Now what it was to encourage him to go outside and maybe do some exercise. But we didn't call it any of those things. We called it the Wiggles game. And we photocopied faces of all of the Wiggles and put them onto road cones and attached them there, and it suddenly became the let's go and play the Wiggles game. Well, that boy had his shoes and socks on before you knew it. It was outside, and of course we put them 50 metres apart from one another, and he was out there going and collecting the Wiggles faces, and of course he was outside for no longer than 5 minutes, but he was doing something different. And took photos, stuck it in his crowd book. He loved it. He absolutely loved it. So then every day became, let's play the Wiggles game. So he started to do something else. It was exercise. It was outside doing a running activity, but we didn't call it that. So if you can use that strength to build on, to try and do some other things through, that would be a really big point. The other one is try and make some visual supports, whether it be emails, whether it be on your iPad, whether it be a whiteboard in the kitchen or a chalk on the footpath, that you're writing up. Whatever it might be, make it visual, reduce your language. This only causes more anxiety, especially when you're anxious. So that would probably be my top tips, I guess. What about you, Moira, in summary?
I think you've summed it all up beautifully. For me, it's all about well-being. It's all about being kind and taking things in very, very small steps. Yeah. Meeting the child and yourself where you're at, acknowledging where you're at, and then just taking tiny steps from there and not being too worried about how far you go. Just lots of positive praise for yourself and for the children. Yeah. They're all of the top people, Nigel Ratter, Nathan Wallace, they're all saying the same thing. Yeah. And the bottom line is, you don't learn anything when you're anxious or fearful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's exactly right. And, if you come out of this with, with a reasonable sense of, well-being, that is fantastic. You can always catch up on education. You can always catch up on those things. But if you, if you're upset and worried and getting into that depressive state or anxious, it takes a bit longer to unwind that. So do what's right for you. And our colleague Tanya always says WW, which is the best strategy of all because it stands for whatever works. And I love that.
That's exactly it.
I love that. Okay, well, I think that's going to be it for us. I'm really looking forward to my glass of wine tonight. I feel like I've earned it. It's a beautiful sunny day. I'm going to go outside and hopefully my kids will leave me alone in peace for 5 minutes. They've done very well to not walk through this. I was kind of expecting someone to come in and make some food. How about you, Moira? You off to do something nice now?
Yeah, I'm going to head off and go for a nice walk because I'm pretty sure that this lovely warm temperature isn't going to last all day. In fact, I think it's going to drop to 6 degrees tonight. So
Whoa.
I think I'll get out there and enjoy the sun while I can.
Okay. Hey, just quickly, we've had Cecile say, could you quickly explain more about a proud book? Well, Cecile, it's just really keeping, whether you want to have got a spare notebook around or if you wanted to do it on an iPad, depending on what your child or your person's where they're at and what they like. You want to be taking photos of things they do well, and or writing little stories like, oh wow, I love the way you drew that picture of the elephant this morning. It was amazing. I love your art. Or I love the way you came down the stairs with a big smile on your face this morning. Whatever it is, find something positive and good. Either take a photo if you haven't got a reader, or a few sentences in a notebook. Keep a file, a clear file of stories, and that person can go back and actually reference that and have a look and see, that they have done some really great stuff, and it's so important. Brag book, proud book, whatever you want to call it.
And every member of the family can actually add to it.
Yeah.
And put little bits in, and also the child themselves can think. You can say, oh, what were you really proud of, or have you made something you really like, or what do you like about this, and they can write their own wee bit. So again, it's something they can refer back to. It captures the moment.
Yeah.
It's a bit like a holiday photo album.
Yeah.
It's the same sort of thing. It
is.
You're putting lots of positives into it.
It jogs our memory,
if they
doesn't
find
it?
a nice leaf when they're out for a walk, you put that in. If they find a feather and it tickles their fancy,
Beautiful.
pop it in.
If you
anything at all.
Yeah. If you want to know more about proud books, stories for understanding, you can also go onto the Carol Gray website and have a look. If you want to start writing some social stories as well, which are little stories to explain what's happening, and that's an incredibly helpful website. So for now, we will say ka kite. Please let us know if you'd like us to do another Facebook Live at a different time. We might try and record one of our Zoom meetings, actually, so you just get more than me to look at. We couldn't work out how to get Moira on the screen as well, so we might do that. Let us know, give us some feedback, and we'll be happy to look at what your needs are. And it's nice just to connect anyway and let you know you're doing a fabulous job of just existing.
Yeah.
All right then. Take care.
Ka kite no.
Ka kite. Bye.
Bye.